Good morning, everybody. What's up? Welcome again to the pod. I'm so glad you could join us. If you're here for the first time, welcome. This is Say It, the podcast. It's the number one culture-centered, Christ-centered community serving podcast on the internet. And I'm your host. My name is Smiles. I'm glad you could join in today. Really, everybody, I'm just very glad to have you listening. We're going to continue from last week. Thank you for taking out time to check out that episode. Today we'll be talking about a little bit more. So I'll start with number one. Number one, I'll call it the H factor, right? And H here is for health, particularly your mental health, bro. Because there is something pursuing a dream, pursuing a goal does to your mental health. It gives you focus on a different level. Think of it as mental exercise. You wake up every morning, you have something to look forward to, you have something to think through, you have something to think about. That is mental fortitude, right? You get to build mental muscle, you get to exercise your mind. That is a blessing because you get to have that for free once you get started with something, right? Every morning you wake up and you look out into the horizon, there is something in front of you. If there is nothing to look forward to, it's very easy to just stay complacent and just settle. It really encourages mindfulness, right? And by mindfulness, I mean when you have a project that you're working on, you tend to be a little bit more careful. Why? Because you tend to see by the day, how much attention you have given to this cause, how much time you've put in, how much energy you've put in to the cause, and you would not want to let that go, right? Think of it I don't know if you've ever played Jenga. You have stacks of wooden bricks, and then you have to move them on top of each other. If your move topples the deck, you're out, right? That's pretty much how Jenga works. Now, if you've ever played Jenga, you would know that over time, you begin to get a little bit more careful with every move. Why? Because you can understand that you have placed a lot of time, a lot of energy in building this structure, in building this thing, and you would not want to do anything that would kind of mess everything up. So that's the same approach to mindfulness, right? When you start doing something. When you care about the thing you're doing, which is why I always advise if you want to do something you care about, you get. But when you care about that thing you're doing, man, you get a little bit more mindful. You start to actually care. If you ever study something you don't want to study in uni, raise your hands. Yep. For those of us who study what we didn't want to study in uni, it got to the point that we just started losing focus. We just didn't care anymore. We just wanted to get out of school. You get the gist. And that happens because you're not pursuing a goal that you actually want to pursue. You're kind of just winging it at this point. You don't want to wing it in life, right? That's why you need targets. You need something to look forward to. You need something to get started with. And when you get started, every single step you take towards that thing would increase your sense of mindfulness. You just become a little bit more careful. So a healthy body and a healthy mind are just byproducts of having a healthy goal and having something that you started. I keep saying goal and saying started, and I know it looks like I'm trying to, force the idea of a goal, into the idea of starting. But we talked about this last week, right? No matter how big your dreams are, you can't take them to the bank. There you go. All right. We'll talk about the creativity aspect now of starting something. How many of us are creatives? If you're creative, pause, go in the comments and type I am a creative. Personally, I think everybody is a creative. This is not even an on some level type of thoughts. This is everybody is a creative, period. What we call levels of creativity, all right, or what we call this person is more creative than the next person, is simply just what we've been talking about this entire period, right? The amount of times that people have shown up for the creative side of themselves. Right? So if you've shown up for your creativity longer than the next person, there are chances that you would seem more creative than the next person. That's pretty much the core of creativity. Imagine you're let's say bartender, right? At a local bar. You know for a fact that you're not going to only learn how to bartend. You're going to learn how to have conversations with people that want to have a conversation with you by force. You're going to learn how to listen. You're going to learn empathy. You're going to learn how to settle fights. You're going to learn a lot of other things. Sometimes we think creativity is art. Art is a very, very expressive form of creativity, but creativity does not equal art, and art doesn't equal creativity, right? Creativity is simply the ability to come up with something new. I mean, if I was asked to define creativity, I would say creativity is just the ability to invent or reveal or discover something that didn't exist before. You get that's creativity. Something you didn't know before, you figure that out. That's creativity. Something you couldn't do before, you can now do. That's creativity. When you start showing up for that thing that you believe in, guess what happens? You begin to know things you didn't know before. You begin to learn to do things you can't do before. You low-key begin to become a genius. So showing up alone pretty much creates that foundation for creativity to then rest on. If you like, have new thoughts from now till tomorrow, but until you get out there and do something about it, you are not creative. We'll probably call you a creative thinker, but I really don't know. Again, thinking doesn't really foot anybody's bill. So I know I sound very mean, but somebody has to say it, right? Sorry if you're offended. But yeah, creative thinking is good, but creative thinking needs creative action. Creative thinking has to pair with creative action. Creative thinking without creative action is just nonsense. I'm just saying. If you need to be offended to get started, please be offended. Right? Yeah, so that's creativity. I'll chip one little thing in there as well that I really think is important. We just talked about creativity and talked about learning new things, right? Or being in new spaces. Something that you gain from being in new spaces is you gain new perspective. And I think perspective is such an understated blessing. All right, the fact that you're able to see something in a way that you never could see it before is something that you need to have in your life. So yeah, that's for creativity. I really want to move really fast today. Just to hop off of that, this is going to sound like motivation, but I'm not trying to motivate anybody here. Do you understand? By the way, this is just a side note. See, I'm not here to motivate anybody. I'm here to create a thought process for you. I'm here to give you logical explanations. Right? I'm not here to make you believe in some random thing. I'm here to make you see reason in reality, right? And understand that you actually need to interact with reality and get things done. That's my goal. So this is not motivation, but this part is going to start to be like motivation. It's really all about legacy, and legacy is such a big deal for me, particularly because if you know me very well, you know that one of my dreams in life is to become like a full-time dad, like house husband, or what do you go? You're just at home, think of your family and think of your kids and everything. Like, that's me, right? And I'll tell you why. It's because somewhere in me, I kind of feel like fatherhood is becoming a lost art in the world. We just need better fathers, and I'm just trying to be one. You get? So I care a lot about legacy. I care a lot about the things that you do that impacts not just you, but the generations after you. When we look back at everything that has inspired us as a generation, they were all things that were done, not necessarily thoughts, in terms of like, oh, this was just a thought. These were thoughts that, people sat down with and interacted with, wrestled with. Now, these thoughts led to creations, right? So you have the chance, you have the opportunity to create something that is able to impact not just you, not just the generation you're in, but the generations after you. It's a given. Once you start something, you start thinking about the future. They are like a pair. If you start something now, you are already thinking about how can I keep this thing going till at least tomorrow. And that's what you kind of want to have. Sometimes I feel like we need something very, very lofty, right, to change the world. Sometimes you don't. It doesn't. To change the world, bro, to change the world, should I tell you what you really need to change the world? What you need to change the world is to change yourself and start changing every single thing that your eyes can see. Every single thing around you, any single thing around you, like just change it, right? And just keep changing it. Just keep changing. Anything you can see, you go anywhere. Anything you see, just change. That's how you change the world, bro. So yeah, you get to build a legacy. You get to build experiences. You get to, create memories with like people. You get to meet new friends that would stay with you for your life. Sometimes, people that you would never have met if you didn't start. That's priceless, right? So that's the legacy bit. The last two, I have like the practical reasons section and I have the motivation section. I'm just going to read like the practical reasons section out for you. I'll just read them out. So time passes away. Just make it count. Yeah, more capable than you think. You are capable of more than you think. Starting is free, and starting is better than waiting for perfection. If you fail, you will learn. If you fail faster, you learn faster. And the truth is, nobody would do it for you. It's your responsibility to act. And every small act and every small effort adds up in the long run. You tend to save time, you tend to save energy, and you gain clarity through action. But I just read like a list of practical reasons. You can see how every single sentence can be like a 10-minute rant. If you needed a couple more reasons to get started, this is your, just come back to this practical reasons section and just think on it. Just ruminate and just think about this for a bit, right? You fail faster, you learn faster. Sometimes you're afraid of failing. You just fail. Just fail. If you don't fail, you actually will not learn though. I'm just being honest. The learning actually happens in the failure, alright? Think about it. If you knew what to do and you did that thing and it worked, what did you learn? All you learned is that the thing that you know how to do works. There is no new knowledge required, and you would leave that feeling excited. You have a dopamine rush, but that's it. See why you have to fail, Abby? You actually have to fail. You see this fear of failure? On a much serious note though, failing is really the quickest way to actually learn, alright? Because again, your brain is wired, and I talk about the brain a lot. That's because I'm a part-time psychologist. I tend to study brain science a lot. When you fail, right, your brain goes into this whole self-preservation mode, right? Your prefrontal cortex, I think that's what it's called. And if you're a science person in the chats or listening, tell me if I'm wrong. Just tell us if we're wrong or if I think about it the wrong way. And in fact, because I'm not a science person, I know I'm not giving a lot of clarity to this, but just we kind of run this thing together. This is not, the comments are important, all right? So leave a comment. At whatever point you think a comment is necessary, just leave a comment. If you have a question, you have a different opinion, something else you can actually do is share. You can actually start sharing the podcast to your friends and every other person and just ask them, what do you think about this? Or, hey, check this out. It will really help the podcast grow. We're trying to grow here. So yeah, where was I? So the prefrontal cortex is kind of like the part of your brain that is responsible for decision making and self-preservation. You get every time you fail or you make a mistake or you encounter danger or you encounter anything that again looks like it's about to occur to you, mentally, physically, psychologically, your brain recognizes that as a threat, right? And it begins to think immediately of how to solve the threat or how to avoid the threat. Now, how does this apply to failing? When you fail, right? You feel bad when you fail, and when you feel bad, your body is like, I don't want to feel this again. You understand? So it really does take the learning in that moment seriously, because you figured out what went wrong and you will not want to repeat that mistake again. As I said, if we had to go through all these practical reasons one by one, we would not live here. And if I'm being honest, you can find many of these practical reasons on YouTube and many channels that post motivation. Like I said, I'm not trying to motivate you here. I'm just trying to give you reasons, practical reasons, things that you actually, things that the world kind of needs. Yeah, you kind of trying to say you shall need to get started. I don't know how much time. Like I said, if you listen to this and you still don't get started, we need to deliver you, bro. That's where it's at. You just need to be delivered. I'm not against motivation, right? Motivation has its place, and that's why I have a section for motivation here. But the whole idea of motivation is motion, right? You can't spell motivation without motion. The idea of motivation is that you should move, right? So motivation should precede action. That's the goal of motivation. And I feel like when people listen to motivational quotes or listen to motivational speeches, or pretty much when they look for motivation, what they're looking for is something to make them feel rather than something to make them do stuff. And I think that's not a great way to look at motivation. And I would just really want us to, you think about yourself, right? Tell me what you think. I really think once you start approaching motivation as a tool to get you started, or as that extra push you need to get going, I think then you've gotten it right. Most people out here are just listening to motivation just to feel good or feel smart, whichever. But I'll give you like a couple of motivational reasons why you should actually start right now. Starting is a form of self-love, right? When you start, you're telling yourself that you care for yourself. It's self-care. If you remember in the last episode, I really did touch on this a little. And I mentioned that when you say no to your dreams, you're telling yourself that your dreams don't matter. When you say yes to your dreams, you're kind of telling yourself that your dreams matter. You're prioritizing your personal growth, right? And it's important because you need that to start feeling empowered, right? That's where the feeling of confidence and empowerment, that's where all of that comes from. You can't learn about confidence from reading a book, right? About confidence. Sorry. I know, like it's starting to offend people. I know. But just bear with me. You can't learn confidence by reading a book on confidence. Here are 3 easy steps to build confidence. Start, and start. What happens if I fail? Start again. Yeah, just start again. Just start and keep starting and keep starting. And just as a side note, right, when you treat every single step towards your greatness as the first step and don't treat it as a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth, when every day you wake up, this is like the first day of your life. When every day you wake up, this is like the first day. With the new knowledge you have, I know better, but this is day 1, right? I've learned a lot more, but this is day 1, right? When you approach life like that, right, and when you approach your goals like that, like it's your day 1 every single time, whole idea of fatigue kind of dies out. Because if there is anything that anybody can do, it's start. We might be terrible at continuing, right? We might be terrible at keeping up, but we can start. Like, it's free to start. So if you just refrain and make every new step a starting step, or think of it as a starting step, it kind of just gives you this renewed sense of energy. But that's like on a side note, right? Let's get back to motivation. When you start, you realize that your excuses will stop. I know we've talked about excuses before, but this is something that really happens. When you start, excuses kind of like start to disappear. Why? Because you are now face to face with reality. Excuses exist in the fictional world. Excuses exist in a realm that doesn't exist. When you begin to interact with reality, what you begin to gather is data. You begin to gather information. And information beats excuses anytime, any day. I don't even need to tell you that when you start, you actually kind of see it for yourself. It kind of just happens, right? So stop making excuses, start. When you start, excuses will cease. It's pretty much how it happens. And lastly, the journey is just as rewarding as the destination. You do this for long enough, you would be happy you started. You would be so glad, I'm telling you, man. But everything I set out to do, that I ended up doing, both the ones that failed and the ones that did not fail. There are a lot of things that I learned along the way that right now, I'm just grateful that I got the chance to even start. So, I really hope you've learned a thing or two. I really hope you've been inspired. I really hope you've been motivated. I really hope you've learned something new. And like I always say, if you didn't learn anything new, I actually don't care. I'm just grateful that I get the chance to remind you of things. So be reminded that starting is good for your health. Starting is the foundation for creativity. Starting is the only way to build legacy. And we also talked about like practical reason and a little bit of motivation as well. Before we leave today, I want to like give a shout out to a couple of people. And this I'm not doing like once in a while. Like once I'll just give shout out to some people. Shout out to Jules. She's like a core listener. In fact, she's the only person right now as I speak that has joined the community on the website, right? Let's make sure I've checked our website yet, but we have a website now with a lot of links that you can click and they take you a lot of places. One of those links is the community link. You get to receive newsletters from me. You get to, enjoy lots of other different perks. You get to see some episodes before I even release them. You get to ask me personal questions. We get to like hang out. If we're in a city, we could just hang out. Those are the things you enjoy being in the community, right? And Jules is somebody who has supported from day one. Yeah, shout out to Jules. She also had like a really amazing poetry exhibition last week, which was amazing, like really amazing. I've seen pictures, I've read some of the poetry. It's lovely. Shout out to everybody who has sent in reviews. Shout out to everybody who's been posting about the platform. I'm really grateful. Like I'm very grateful. The stats are amazing. I'll probably talk a little bit about the stats in the community. So go and check out the community, and I'll show you all how the stats have been going. But it's just been wonderful. It's been a sort I'm having you around. I'll give one more shout out to Ollie. So Ollie started the Ollie podcast after listening to the last episode of Getting Started, which I am so happy about. Now, she will tell you otherwise. She'll probably tell you that she wanted to start it before, but the episode just motivated her. Mission accomplished, right? So go check out the Ollie podcast. Thank you all for being here. Let's just wrap this up. Please check out the website, join the community. I can't be writing newsletters to only Jews, you get. But yeah, thank you so much for being here again. We release new episodes every Friday by 6 a.m. in the morning, so you have like the entire day to like listen. And yeah, I hope to see you again next week. Let's pray. I mean, if you're an OG, you knew it was coming. You get. But if it's your first time, yeah, we kind of like say a very quick prayer and just wrap up everything with God before we leave. So if you don't like prayer, like I always say, you can get out. But don't worry, just stick around. I'm joking. Dear Father God, I thank you for everybody today, and I just pray that you help us to get started, just like Ollie got started. In Jesus' name, amen. Bye.